is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are thrilled to welcome to the program Annette Whittemore. She's the president and founder of the Whittemore Peterson Institute, and Judy Mikovits, who's the director of research for WPI, also a doctor. I can't think of a more exciting program I've done, because what we're about to talk about is world-shattering news. I want to read, if I could, just the first paragraph of your press release. The Whittemore Peterson Institute scientists discover significant link between XMRV and ME/CFS, which we'll go into in a moment. A recently identified retrovirus called XMRV has been linked to a debilitating neuroimmune disease that affects more than 1 million people in the United States. Scientists from the Whittemore Peterson Institute, located at the University of Nevada, Reno, and their collaborators from the National Cancer Institute and Cleveland Clinic have discovered a retroviral link to myalgic encephalomyelitis and chronic fatigue syndrome. They recently published their groundbreaking findings in the journal Science, one of the world's leading journals of original scientific research, global news, and commentary. The paper, entitled Detection of Infectious Retrovirus XMRV in the Blood Cells of CFS Patients, is a major breakthrough in understanding the origins of this disease. Let's start out with the most basic, which is, what is a retrovirus?
Well, there are only 2 other human retroviruses known: human T-cell leukemia virus and HIV, the retrovirus that causes AIDS. Both of these viruses cause cancers, neurological diseases, immune deficiencies, and inflammatory disorders in man. XMRV is only the 3rd human infectious retrovirus shown, and that's what our work just did.
What made you look for this? Because this was originally discovered in prostate cancer tissue of men with a specific genetic immune system defect by Dr. Silverman of the Cleveland Clinic. Why did you put that over to CFS and
yes,
ME?
That genetic link was the hereditary prostate cancer gene number 1 is an antiviral enzyme that is also a hallmark of the abnormalities of ME/CFS patients. So we thought that we reasoned that if this virus is infecting men with this immune defect in causing prostate cancer, that it might indeed be the culprit in CFS.
What were your thoughts when you first started going down this road?
Well, I knew that the one thing that we had to do was look for the answers, and I believed that all along we were going to find an underlying pathogen. It didn't make sense that so many different viruses had been claimed to have caused this disorder. So, you know, I was absolutely thrilled. This is exactly what we started out to do.
One of the things that has been so frustrating for sufferers from chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and other related illnesses is that for a long time people thought that doctors thought that they were crazy, that the symptoms that were coming up, symptoms coming up in one place and then showing up in another place, and there was no way to track it.
It's really been very, very interesting, and well, the exciting thing is that Judy can tell you that how the virus works, and every one of the symptoms makes sense because of that. So it's wonderful to be able to have this puzzle, just all the pieces come together suddenly and fit so well. But I'm certainly she can speak to that.
Well, I was going to say, specifically, you know, let's relate it to women. A lot of the problems that women have suffered with this, you have now been able to track down in an incredible detective work.
Right, correct. So it's a simple retrovirus, which means its expression, the on or off, is controlled by we've just learned this, it's unpublished data, by just 3 things: the response to hormones and the response to inflammatory cytokines. It's called a NF-kappa B element. So cortisol, which is the stress hormone, it turns on the virus very rapidly and continues to have it expressed. So do inflammatory events, like as caused by other pathogens, and so do hormones like androgens and progesterones, which also make sense with regard to prostate cancer and inflammatory prostate cancer and the disease being more prevalent in women.
One of the things that is common here is that this is not an airborne disease, which is something that people had potentially thought about. I mean, this is something that's all over the world.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's just stunning. But it's actually fluids and blood that are being
That's correct. I think we're, obviously looking into that and describing that more fully so that we can, but in the history of these other viruses, that's what they've, discovered. It's not airborne, thank goodness.
Okay, this has way more ramifications than just CFS and ME.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been a very strong supporter of the autism community on this program and tried to cover that as much as possible. What effect might it have on the autism community with this research?
Well,
And findings. I mean, it's beyond just research, but
I think,
findings.
Yeah, we're excited to, it's not in the paper and it's not reported, but we've actually done some of those studies, and we found this virus present in a significant number of autistic samples that we have tested so far.
So there is tremendous potential for this to potentially be something that will be solvable for the autism community.
Be linked to a number of neuroimmune diseases, including autism. It certainly won't be all, because there are, genetic defects that result in autism, but there are also the environmental effects. There is always, the hypothesis that my child was fine and then they got sick and then they got autism. Interestingly, on that note, if I might speculate a little bit, the vaccine, this might even explain why vaccines lead to autism in some children, because these viruses live and divide and grow in the lymphocytes, the immune response cells, the B and the T cells. So when you give a vaccine, you send your B and T cells in your immune system into overdrive. That's its job. Well, if you're harboring one virus and you replicate it a whole bunch, you've now broken the balance between the immune response and the virus. So you could have had the underlying virus and then amplified it with that vaccine and then set off the disease such that your immune system could no longer control other infections and created an immune deficiency.
Let's take a break. More on this very exciting discovery when we come back.
To contact Nevada Newsmakers, call 775-857-2244 or go to nevadanewsmakers.com. And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers on a great day here with Annette Whittemore, president and founder of the Whittemore Peterson Institute, and Judy Mikovits, who is the director of research for WPI. You wanted to clear up something about vaccines.
Well, I just wanted to say that we certainly are advocating vaccinations and understand how important those are to the well-being of the children. But what we're hoping for is by finding out whether or not somebody is positive to XMRV, whether it's one family member or another, and then looking forward in children, you could alter the immune response in such a way or protect the child and still be able to vaccinate and avoid autism in these kids. So, and again, I don't think that either one of us are sitting here and saying vaccination causes autism. Rather, a number of factors, a genetic susceptibility to the illness, the infection itself, and then on top of that, you're adding something to that mix that takes that child over the top.
One of the things that's interesting to me is that, we're not very far away from actually being able to resolve a lot of the problems for these people. I mean, we've seen with HIV/AIDS that it has now been put under control for many, many people. And are we looking for the same thing for not just ME and CFS, but for many other diseases as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, as you said, we've got a lot of experience in drug development, and these retroviruses work the same. So we have drugs that are already FDA approved on the market that we can now begin rational clinical trials and actually treat and come close to the proving causality when we do indeed have people be better, healed.
So actually we are working on treatments right now, and I think one of the biggest things that we feel is very, very important is that we continue this work on this pace to solve this problem as quickly as possible, and that's going to require some funding, and we're really hoping, and we're working very hard right now with the NIH to accommodate those needs and get some funding into this area as soon as possible out to the Institute so we can begin these clinical trials.
What has been the response? I know that this was embargoed until today by Science Magazine, but what has been the result of the medical community?
I will let Judy answer that one because it's been phenomenal. The scientific community has just been over the top. So.
Yeah, we've presented these data 3 times, twice at closed conferences at the NIH and one at an international meeting a few weeks ago, and you could hear a pin drop in the audience. It's amazement. The scientists are excited. Everyone's working on it, so we know we're going to get a lot of help, but it's just amazement. It's an entire new field of medicine, and everyone who's ever worked in this family of viruses, now that we've shown it's a human and pathogen, is extremely excited.
You know, you started this investigation because of your daughter and her lengthy illness with CFS. What's your response now, and what's her response?
We are just absolutely overwhelmed. We are so excited to be able to put a name to the item, you know, the pathogen that's really been causing her the problems. But there's always that little bit of sadness now, you know, where you've held on for a really, really long time and said, you know, we're going to do this, we're going to do it, and every once in a while we stop and well, we're a little bit sad for the lost health and on all the lost years, and then we just go right back out there. And you know, I'm looking forward to all the new treatment options that are going to be available, and we've already talked to a large group of scientists about a possible vaccine. Judy has mentioned to me several times that this is going to be easier to find a vaccination against this than HIV, because it is a simple retrovirus. So
yes, and that is the amazing thing.
Unbelievable.
There are obviously going to be a lot of people who have a lot of questions about this, and this broadcast is going to be seen around the world, literally online. Where do people come to find the information?
Well, we hope they'll come to our website and visit us at www.wpinstitute.org. We've put up a lot of information about XMRV, questions and answers, and we're hoping to do what is it called when they post? You know, so they can post their questions and then they can post their comments, a board of some sort. So, right online, and certainly you'll probably get quite a bit of feedback.
Yes, and we'll put a link to your website on our website. Even though we've discussed how earth-shattering this is, I don't think people are going to understand.
No.
But over the next few months, as this rolls out, and I just can't say, you know, how excited I am for you. And I also have a family member that suffers from fibromyalgia.
We should speak to that just very quickly. That fibromyalgia, we include that in this group. We did bring in some samples, and they tested positive as well. So there's a lot of folks out there that are going to find that there's a reason for their symptoms, there is an answer, and there are going to be some treatments that are going to make a difference. So.
Congratulations to both of you. It is just wonderful. And your building isn't even finished yet.
I know. You know what was really funny? About a year ago, I told Judy, I said, on this agenda sheet, I said, okay, agenda items, what are we going to do? We're going to find the underlying cause of this disorder, develop treatments, and we are going to have a vaccine. And I said, well, do you think you can do that before the doors are open? And then, you know, we can figure out what we're going to do in that space. But yeah, I am just absolutely thrilled, and I do believe that we are going to move very rapidly on this. So
congratulations to both of you, and we look
Thank
forward to you coming back and telling us more about the progress. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this time out.